Hey, welcome back to the live stream. Ready for an afternoon New York session here on December 27th. I want to welcome back everyone from the morning session who is back for an afternoon one. And to all the newcomers who couldn't make the morning session but are here now, welcome. Let's go back to being dark like this morning. I think I liked it a little better in the dark. So let's go with a more dim light. All right, just taking a little peek at price action to see where we are from the lunch session and where we left off. We left off right here in this fair value gap. It was holding when we got off the live feed. You can see it even had some candle bodies. I'm sorry, the wicks broke through, but the bodies still stayed inside of the fair value gap, and we kept seeing it buy out of it and put in higher values, and eventually that ran out, and we saw price crash around 1240. So let me delete this. We no longer need it. These are no longer relevant either. Okay, so from the leg up from around 10:45 up until around lunchtime when we saw some bullish impulsive action, we've had a retracement of roughly, I don't know, looks like about 80% or so. And if you go down to the wick, we're probably closer to that 88% mark if you're familiar with Fibonacci. So now let's see where price is going, whether it's going to seek these highs or whether it's just going to go up to this 17,090 area where the new day opening gap is, and then we'll see a rejection from that level and we'll seek lower prices. While we're waiting and people are trickling in, let me take a peek at the dollar and the other indices and see where they are. Okay, so during lunch, we had a bullish candle from the dollar, so a small retracement, not a lot. And we saw lower prices for the indices. So all the indices for the hour put in not a, I wouldn't say they're large candles at all. Most of them were modest ranges, and you can see even by the Nasdaq, lunch is basically from this time period until just before. So you saw a sell off from 94 down to 68. So we're talking less than 25 points on Nasdaq, a little bit more for the Dow, and a little less for ES. ES had a range of around 7 points. If that puts things into perspective for you. But so far this hour, we've had bullish momentum from all the indices, which we can also see here on the Nasdaq by these last few candles. And the dollar hasn't shown his hand yet. The dollar is still pretty much at its opening price throughout the first 5 minutes. We'll see what happens next, but so far the dollar hasn't shown his hand. All right, on the 15-minute, we're entering a bearish fair value gap, which has held price throughout the lunch hour. Go ahead and drop that Fibonacci out. And yeah, looks like we have pretty clean charts now. Earlier, right just before lunch, when we got the big bullish momentum coming out around 11:15ish, we were targeting the 8:30 open is where price may want to land. I still have that area marked up here at 17,102. And so far, it looks like we're pushing towards, but it didn't happen during lunch, which is when I thought it would. But here we are right outside of lunch, just after, and we see price moving up from 073. So we've already gotten 30 points since the hour open. So let me go back to check out the others. Okay, yep. So we got a big push from all the indices right now. Finally, the S&P just now, if you were on the morning session, we had the Dow and the Nasdaq taking yesterday's high, but the S&P was lagging behind. That just occurred just now with this impulse movement. So let me just switch over to the S&P quickly. All right, here we go. So let's go to the hourly, right? Down at the hourly, we saw this is where we were trickling this morning. Yesterday's high was here, and we just saw that eclipse just now at 48.34.5. Okay, so now we have all three of the indices in sync, which is excellent for price action. We can feel a bit more comfortable with what we see. But the dollar so far still has not shown his hand yet. We do expect the dollar to continue to sell off today, but it's already made a new low. Each hour, the dollar was pushing lower this morning until the lunch hour, where it made a small retracement, but not much. And so this hour, so far, it hasn't moved, but we are expecting it to continue to push lower. In fact, let me show you what that looks like. Right, so this morning we saw the dollar each hour was pushing lower, making lower values, and then this one candle is what we had for the lunch. Basically recovered the 11 o'clock candle, and now we're just waiting to see if it pushes lower. And what you see now is the last couple minutes. Before that, it wasn't even this much action. So we're waiting for the dollar to do something. Meanwhile, if I move over to the indices, let me look at this hourly candle. And I go here, look at that hourly candle. And then the Dow, right? So the indices are moving, and so far we're not getting much from the dollar. Let's get down to a price that to a time frame that has a bit more movement. Let's bring back our drawings. There we go. Let me drop the 8:30 open since we no longer need that. You're right, Dylan. NQ was breaking out and it started pushing. Yeah, it's pretty good rejection at the very end of that last candle. Okay, let's remove this as well. A handful of fair value gaps here that's been created just recently on its way up. So let me just make sure they're on our chart so we can see them. Thanks. You still in Tesla? Okay. Oh, I bet you are. Is that from yesterday? The Tesla trade? Yep, we sure did. So this was our previous high from earlier today. Right around 10 o'clock was when this was achieved. So just as we jumped on this morning, it achieved its high, which now has just been broken on Nasdaq. We now want to wait and see how price reacts to making a new high for today. And for doing it so early in the afternoon session, I wonder if this is going to be our high for today. Or is there more fun to come? Couple racks. Sweet. Good job, Dylan. It'll be a good trade for you to carry over into the next year or into the new year as having one of your final trades of 2023 be a monster trade. All right. So For anyone who just jumped on recently, in the last few minutes, we've seen price come out of its lunchtime range, and we saw it take out the morning low. So that means our lunchtime high as well as our morning high have both been swept. We're now waiting to see how price reacts. The morning time high is denoted by this black line you see at 17,124 and 3/4. So now we just want to see how price reacts. I put a Fibonacci to see what type of retracement we get. And we have currently, for this time frame, the 1 minute, we have two fair value gaps that it's now trading towards. So we want to see if it finds support in either one of those. Mm-mm. All right, so it's been a pretty eventful first 15 minutes. So that's at least encouraging considering the last two sessions that we had yesterday afternoon and this morning. Okay, so far we have not even made it to the fair value gap yet, and we're seeing price push up. We mark off the 50% of this wick. Take off the magnet. All right, that's an eyeball, but it's close enough. And let me remove the morning high since we've already achieved that. Magnet back on. There we go. Okay. Right now, price is stalled, just sitting in the middle of this range here. I marked up 50% of the wick to see when that level is achieved. And also we're looking at this swing low from a couple minutes ago as potentially an area that price will draw to. It's actually equal lows. So we have this wick over here as well. Price breaks those equal lows. We then fall into this fair value gap, which is also 50% of this price leg up. So that brings price back down into discount if it wants to continue higher. Put that there so we can see when price breaks a trend. Okay. And I've drawn up these two lines. We'll see price trickle in somewhere in here, but it's running out of real estate, so it will have to break out soon and show its hand. Depending on which direction it goes in first, we'll just wait and react to price at that time. We're waiting. Let me check on the other indices. Right, all the indices are about the same. They've pulled back between 40 and 50% of the hourly high. Yep, so if I adjust this Fibonacci to just be what happened during this hour, you can see we're like in that 40% range, as low as almost 50. That's exactly where S&P and the Dow is as well. We do not show the dollar moving in the opposite direction. The dollar still has not done much this hour. It just kind of been hanging out. So maybe what we'll see is in the next half hour. So we're getting close to 130. So maybe in the next half hour, the dollar will react, which will in turn carry the indices, or we'll have to wait until next hour for the dollar to move. But I'll continue to monitor it because we really do want to see the three indices and the dollar moving in opposite directions, but with similar movement, similar speed and power. So as we sit right now, is there anyone in the room who was currently already in a position? It's okay. I won't force you to speak up if you don't want to. But I do want us to be an interactive room where we're all talking about trades that we see or what we're interested in. All right, we still almost got a retracement down to 50%, but not yet. We haven't even had a break of these relative equal lows, which I guess I could, let me straighten this up. There we go. Just went long, Dustin. All right. Okay, so we've had a breakout of the trend that we had, which is good. Okay, back into the trending area. Here. Okay, on the 15-minute, nearly this entire area is a fair value gap, a bullish fair value gap. So I just want to point that out. If you take a peek into the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see that. Okay, got another break of the trend line we had before. Let's see if it can break this high from last candle, which was at 14.25. Okay, it has. Let's see if it then also closes on this side of the trend line. Okay, I think it's fair to say it's going to close on the other side. Let's get rid of this now. 17,106 and a quarter. Breakout and retest. Okay. Well, the good news is, Dustin, is all of price action from the level that you took a long from, all the candle bodies are above that level. We do have some wicks that push through, but none of the bodies push through. So, way to go. Good job. You've at least seen 10 points profit. If that's what you were looking for, you got at least that. Oh, Adam, you were short and got stopped out. Okay. Yep. Well, just regroup, continue watching the price action, and see if you can't find another entry. Yeah, you're right, man. It's this has been a tough week so far. It's only into the second day. But it seems like the market doesn't want to give us much since it's the end of the year, the last week, and we're in between two major holidays. And two global holidays at that. So the market's going to be closed everywhere, not just for one region of the world. Okay, I see we have passed the 1:30 mark. So we're into the second half hour of the 1 o'clock hour. Let's hope we get something better, because we can look at the last 30 minutes, and other than the first 10, it's just kind of sat here. Oh, dollar's moving now. Good. Dollar had been stagnant. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's slightly bullish right now. Looking like it may trade into a fair value gap that was created throughout the morning. And we'll see at that time if it wants to continue bullish or if it wants to reject out and seek lower prices. Yep. So while we're waiting, let me just quickly pop over to the dollar and show you what I see. All right, let's get the hour together. All right, so this is the hourly chart for the dollar. This is what we've been looking at this morning. So we had a big price move downwards, but we do have fair value gap here. That looks like it may trade into now. So once that happens, it depends on whether it's going to push through and move into this fair value gap up here. Right. Or if it's not going to push into this fair value gap, maybe it'll reject out of here, and then we'll see lower prices. But for right now, this hourly candle hasn't done much at all. And then in the last few minutes, it's switched over to being slightly bullish, heading towards this fair value gap. All right, we're back to the 1 minute on the Nasdaq. All right, we're getting close to something happening. Just don't know what. But this funnel is running out of space. Not 100% sure what we're looking at here, but if I had to guess, I would probably guess long. But we'll see. Okay, most recent swing high has now been taken out. See next and see what the reaction is. All right, looks like I'm going to have to manually stop loss this thing. Maybe we can get a breakout of some kind and I can put a break-even stop loss in. But we'd have to break out first and get above that 122, 123 level, somewhere in there. I want to exit at 110. If price gets down here, then it's going in the opposite direction of what I believe. And so I want to exit. Unfortunately, I'm unable to put a stop here. Actually, you know what? Let's try this. Okay, it just canceled my previous order. It's not what I wanted. I wanted to put a stop down here. I thought that would have done it for me, but it didn't. So let that be a lesson to all of you. If you do a market execution, and then you go in and you put another market execution in the opposite direction anywhere on the chart, it'll just close out your trade. All right, well, that's not what I wanted to do, but let's look and see how things unfold here. I'm down. Don't do that to me. Okay, I guess I got to do another market execution. It looked like it was going to run away from me. But we'll see. We'll see how things unfold here. Not 100% positive about what's happening now. I don't like the way price is going, so I'm just going to keep that one entry. And I'll just have to manually stop it at 10 if that's what happens. Yeah, no, yesterday was a tough one when I moved everything to break even, and then they came and took my stop loss and then went to profit. Yeah, that one hurt. But the key here is to decide where my stop loss is going to be, and then I just have to stick to it and not adjust it as things go. If we can get a breakout above, then I'll be able to place a stop loss here. But underneath, for whatever reason, it's not letting me do it unless I go in with the limit order. The market execution is not working. These. don't know why it won't let me put a stop there. All right. I'm gonna close there. I don't like having to sit here and monitor the stop loss manually. I'll look for another entry where I can get in on a limit and then have the stop loss set already. There you have it. Price is moving now. I think the market just wanted me out of the trade. Oh, see, that was what I didn't want to deal with. That right there. Something like that was to happen and not have a stop loss. And it came down within one tick of where I wanted to exit. I wanted to exit at 110 if it was going to happen. Right. Yep. Because this is what I was looking at right here. Right. So no candle bodies below the fair value gap. We have wicks, but no candle bodies. This last wick wasn't even there at the time. Um, go to not the candle that created the fair value gap, to the candle to the left, drop down to the lowest wick, and that becomes the stop loss. Right. So you see here, it came almost there, but not quite. Right. And then you go from this level here down to here, and you take a 1 to 2, 1 to 3, or whatever kind of risk reward you're looking for. But that was the entry I was looking at, and that's why I hit the button. Because I think it was just a couple points above, and I said, all right, let's just get in. Not knowing I was going to have those limitations on setting a stop loss, which made it difficult to hold. So that's why I dropped out. But hopefully anyone else who was able to get in and like that entry are still in and in profit right now. And there's a new high for at least the last 15, 20 minutes. So, oh well. You win some, you lose some. I swear every time I get out of a trade, then the trade wants to deliver. So I hope somebody here was able to profit from that. Hugo, are you still in? You going long? All right, so it did achieve half of this wick. So let me delete that, and we'll see if it wants to push through all of it. Mm-hmm. All right, we're back down almost to origin. Okay, there it is. Back down to the fair value gap. We make that a little larger. Ooh, way. That was strong. Okay, we got a closure right at 50%. The next candle pushed off pretty good so far. Oh, sorry about that, Hugo. All right, I'm gonna mark out the highs and the lows and see where price takes us next. Long again. All right. Hmm. Okay. All right. So we had a sweep of the highs. Now we just had our lows swept. Okay. Wow. Price is in a hurry to get to where it's going. Holy smokes. Get rid of these. See where it closes. Okay. All right. So Adam, I guess this is the this is the trade you were looking for. Okay, we got a full retracement from 1 o'clock. So a takeout of the 1 o'clock low. High is still intact, but the low is now, I believe that's the 1 o'clock low. $74.75. Okay. It took out the 1 o'clock low by 1 point. All right, now let's see where price wants to go. Now that it ran to new lows for the hour without waiting for anyone to get in, just took off from us. Let me take a peek and see where everything else is going. Dollar is still kind of sitting around, not doing much at all, to be honest with you. But we had similar movement from all the indices, so big crash from each of them, likely in the same time period, the last 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, let me throw up the hourly here, just so we can see sort of like the last 24 hours. Okay, so this candle here is 2 o'clock. So after 2 o'clock, starting at 3 o'clock yesterday, price hasn't really moved. Any movement that we've gotten has been followed by a retracement back to the same 3 o'clock levels of 17,000. Right, 17,050, 17,070. If I'm not mistaken, that was yesterday. That was the 50% mark of the weekly fair value gap, I think. Okay, no, that's 17,092. So close enough. But in this range here is where the 50% of the fair value gap is. And so you see price is still stuck in that range, trying to push for higher prices. But each time it does, it gets pushed back down. I don't know if that's just going to be the way price action is this week because it doesn't want to push out of it and make all new highs. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, that's what's happening. So I just wanted to point that out to anyone who's on the lower time frames. If you take a peek at the hourly, you'll see the kind of struggles that we're having. Yep. Okay, let's drop back down. Let's just pause at the 5-minute first. This blue area from yesterday afternoon, everyone remembers. We had that breaker that held price for ever, it seemed. Remember this from yesterday, from like 10 in the morning until 2:30ish. We were still in it, or 2 o'clock. We stayed in this area. So it's just coming back to haunt us. Price moved up, traded back down, moved up, traded back down, and then we're almost back in that same area. Just want to see something on the 1 minute. Oh, I think I took this off the 30-second. I did. All right, so price broke through the breaker. It didn't make a new low yet, but it broke through the breaker, traded back in, and then once it was out, it was gone. There was no retracement, so there was no way to get into the trade. It was gone. And then the fair value gaps that were created on the way down, none of them filled, except for, all right, at 2:01, so about 5 minutes ago, we had a retracement back up to the, it's gonna bite me, I know it is, trade up to the new day opening gap. And I said this morning we were gonna not pay attention to this today because it was only one tick. That's the size of it, just one tick. So I was like, yeah, let's just disregard it. And then here we are, traded right to it in a fair value gap, and then continue lower for another 30 points. Let's drop this one. We don't need it. We're going to hold on to this one just because it reclaimed it. We did get a trade below and a close, but it immediately, the next two candles, traded above and closed above. So I'm just going to hold on to it, even though it created a new one here, which is probably the one we should use. Okay. All right. I'll delete it. We'll hold on to this one. Let's see where this one came from. Oh, wow. Okay, so it was on the hourly. All right, so I need to keep it then. Let's just turn the visibility off. That's why I was there, because of the seconds. Let's turn that off too. Okay. Okay, we're gonna keep watching price now. Let's see if it wants to continue lower or if we put in a bottom. Awesome, Adam. I'm glad you were able to get back in and catch a winning trade. Good job. Okay, the dollar looks like it might be rejecting out of that fair value gap I mentioned during the last hour. If I had things my way, if price wanted to go higher, I would like to see first a break of this low and then Want to see price go higher? $30, I think it is the 30. Yep, that's good. We'll delete this. Okay. A few seconds left on this candle. Want to see where it takes us. I have one trade taken up here, brother free. That one trade taken up here. I abandoned it when price was not moving very much, and I was having trouble putting in a stop loss. Um, but it only would have run up another 5 to 10 points or so before we got a big crash. So it was good because I went long in here. I believe it was somewhere in this range. I went long and I abandoned the trade. One of these candles. And then just right before 2 o'clock, we saw price crash. So it's good that I abandoned the trade without, I think I lost $40, $50, something like that, a couple points. But other than that, no, that's the only trade I took. There's some others in the room who took this short or was able to catch some of that momentum. And there was a few others who took a long over here and was able to catch, 10 or 15 points. But yeah, as soon as something happens and you start looking for the next setup, it just stalls price on you instead of continuing. So now I'm just waiting to see that if price wants to regain some of this ground. If it does, I'm hoping we sweep this low first, come down, tap the low, and then go and tap the high. But if we don't and we go to the high first, I'll still analyze that setup as well. But ideally, I'd like to see the low swept first. And then see if we can't get a push back up to this area. And let's see if the dollar's doing anything. Okay. Indices still hugely negative, which we anticipated based on what we just saw at the start of the hour. But the dollar didn't follow suit. The dollar is just kind of sitting where it's been since lunchtime. So we haven't had any activity on the dollar since around, it's like 11 o'clock maybe. Yeah, or right around 12 when the 11 o'clock hour closed. Dollar hasn't done much. It looks like we'll hit this upper limit first. Ready? Okay, this one was short-lived. It didn't hold up. Okay. So the 1 minute gave a much nicer fair value gap to trade out of, which I see actually not a bad entry. And so there goes the trade. If I get a retracement back into the entry. All right, looks like I'm 2 minutes too late. I was on the 32nd and I missed this entry on the 1 minute. Jesus. Alrighty. Like I say, there's always another one. But that would have been the 1 to 2 trade setup. So let me cancel this limit order. Anyone who caught that, congratulations. Good job. Damn it. That was the move I wanted. After the big move down, I knew it was coming. Did anyone catch that move? Here we are trading above the new day opening gap again. Matter of fact, trading right off of it with the wick. Good job, Victor. Way to go. I can't believe I missed that one. Mr. Sticky. All right. All right. Well, I'm happy for all of you who did catch it. It's a testament to your ability to trade and knowing what you see, controlling risk, and yeah, you were able to find a winning trade. Good job. Maybe next time I'll be on the 1 minute chart when I need to be and not on the 30-second. That was the only one. Oh, I hear you. Well, hey, take the victories as they come. Can't catch them all, but at least if you catch one, you know you've been profitable during the day. Sweet. Caught 70 pip move down. All right. Do I play the stock market or draw lines? I do both. I draw lines, and when I see what I want to see to take a trade, then I enter a limit order for a trade. The last one I was a bit slow. I missed it by 30 seconds or so, and the trade ran away from me. So then I took off my limit order. But most of trading, if you've been doing this for a while, most of trading is waiting and watching. And I'm sorry, John, if I'm not trading enough for you, but I'm not gonna just take trades just because we're in front of the charts. That wouldn't be good for those who rely on me to give them some guidance, and it also wouldn't be good for my account. So I'm not gonna do that. But if you hang out long enough, you will see me take trades. And since this is not a trade copying service, it's not really that important that I take trades anyway. So I just want to put that out there. All right, looks like we are pushing towards that level I said we might go back to earlier when we were kind of stuck up here. Once we traded down and I saw price looking like it might want to reverse, I thought this could be a good area to trade up to. Not that it'll trade through it, but it should get pretty close, I would imagine. Okay. Let me just point out this fair value gap has now been finished. If I'm not mistaken, I think we traded through it. Yep. So we did trade through that fair value gap and into the next one. So keep that in mind for anyone that's still in a long. We got almost to 50%. All right, trade back down to the new day opening gap, which is, you clearly can't see that. This yellow area right here at the very, very, very southern tip of the fair value gap. Big spike down, rejection, back up. Appreciate that, Dustin. Thank you. Okay, we're at 2:30 now. Okay, that half hour went quickly. Maybe it's because it started out with fireworks. Then we had a little small consolidation, and then we had a continuation. So it seemed like it's probably the most eventful 30 minutes we've had in the last couple days. All right, looks like price is starting to retrace on us. Let's put a Fibonacci on this and see where we are. Okay, we've already reached 50%. And I started my Fibonacci from this candle at 1416, right at the base of the body, up until the wick of the highest closing candle. So it's good that we did get a trade down into discount past the 50% mark, which is where you want to take longs from. So if we do see price push up, we can feel confident that this more than 50% retracement was enough. Back, it looks like we might have gotten to 618. Let's just switch over to template for a second. Oh, what happened? Okay, not quite to the 618. Okay, it looks like so far the candle bodies have been attached to this fair value gap. So maybe we'll see price push higher. Okay, we've had now consecutive candles pushing price downwards. We also see that we have sort of this trend line forming with the highs for each of the candles. Right, so and let's see where this next candle lands. Either this one or the one afterwards. One of these candles is going to have to do something different. And from there, we can potentially look for a setup based on what it does. Let's get rid of this as well. Let me peek at the other indices. Okay. Yeah, we've seen recovery on all the indices, at least 50% of that down movement. Let me measure this out just to be sure. Oh, wow. Got over a 70% retracement on Nasdaq. Okay. So with that being said, all the indices look very similar as far as the hourly candle is concerned. But we're also selling on the dollar. Selling on the dollar right now for the hour, which is about where we expect it to land. So I'll just be patient for all the indices, but I would not be surprised if I start seeing some bullish candles come through. Um, but I want price action to dictate that. I don't want to just take a trade because of what I see the dollar doing. So I want to wait for price to show me that it's going to be bullish. Yesterday's midnight open, that could be. Let me find yesterday's midnight open. Okay, if it does that, I guess we'll be going down to 17,021. 17,021 would be the midnight open for the 26th. And then the midnight open for the 27th is right where we are now, 82.5, 082.5. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, that was a strong candle. Let's drop these fair value gaps that'll likely be closed below. Okay. This is the one I was trying to draw. It was so small and I was trying to get it drawn um, while the entry for that long came into play. I think that was on the 32nd. Yep, sure is on the 32nd right here. Okay. And Let me in. Price is being a little stubborn right now, so we'll just give it a few more minutes and see if it can't iron itself out. We take a peek at where everyone else is. All right, the dollar looks like it's at a doji, so it's not bullish or bearish. We still got bearish candles for all the indices for the hour. We're coming up on the last 10 minutes. I did another market execution, so I'm going to have to manually do my own stop loss if I don't get triggered in. Actually, I will be triggered in. Okay, so I won't have to do that. But if price does run away, I will have to manually exit. I might be able to put a, can I put a limit order up here? Let me try. Okay, so it'll let me put in TP, but it won't let me put in a stop loss. Actually, yeah, let's move that down to here. All right, so there we go. Now I can change this to 2. All right, there we go. So now, assuming that the trade works out, we're good to go now. But we do need price to turn around. It's pretty deep in retracement now. Well, digging into drawdown. I mean, not necessarily retracement, but we are in drawdown. Be back. Let me just grab a cup of water. Okay, yeah, still deep in drawdown. And if price wants to perk up from here and start putting in higher prices, let's see where everyone else is. Okay, the dollar looks to be buying up a bit. Everyone else is still selling. Okay, so I may be offsides here. We'll wait and see. But for right now, looks like I'm offsides. Hey, let's see if we can get another push from this next candle or the current candle we have. See if we can't get out of drawdown. Okay. At least a start. Let's go ahead and mark up this fair value gap here that was created. This was a small one. All right, let's take this opportunity to reduce risk a little bit. We're still not out of the woods yet. We're still have our stop loss and drawdown, but we want to see if price can continue to push. Potentially giving us another fair value gap. Okay. If we can hold on for another 15 seconds, let's see. Okay. So now we have a fair value gap right at our entry level, which is fine. Alrighty. Appreciate that, Dave. Yep, I'm just as guilty as everyone else. I have similar issues with psychology. I have issues with entries, everything. I mean, it definitely happens. I try to get in with limit orders all the time, but occasionally you'll see me do something different. Um, but spot on observation, Dave. I'm a work in progress. I'll keep working on that. Keep working on that. All right, let's see. So we did get a sweep of the highs here. Now we see a slight retracement. Let's see if we can continue to get prices to push higher. If not, we're going to see it roll back down and end my trade and potentially seek out these relative equal lows. Actually, all right, let's see if we can't get past that swing high from 3 or 4 candles ago. Okay, that's a good sign. Glad we took out that high. TP would have been 8:30 open again. Okay. Yeah, I was looking for you earlier, Chris, when we hit the 8:30 open, because you were talking about it this morning, and so I was wondering if you were in the live chat this afternoon when it ran through the 8:30 open. We have a small little volume imbalance here, tiny little thing. Let's go ahead and break even this trade right now. All right, let's see if we can't get price to continue to push up. See if we can at least get up to this new day opening gap, which also is the bearish fair value gap that's still here. Okay. Okay, everyone. It's now 5 minutes after 3. I completely forgot about where time was. So we're now into the 3 o'clock hour. Oh, I missed this fair value gap. That price is just tearing through right now. And it's getting ready to end my trade. And there it is. John, it could be either way. Yeah, I could have done that, so I end up with $50 or $100 or whatever. I did break even just trying to see if I could stay in the trade, give myself the best opportunity given those circumstances to be profitable. So that's why I chose break even as opposed to at least walking away with 50 or 100 or whatever is decided. So we had a sweep of the swing low here by 1 or 2 ticks. And now it looks like we're moving again in the same direction. Let's see, we can take this one out. We can get this out as well. Okay, we can drop this. Hey, Dave, not sure if you're still in the room. If you're still in, you know, second time that we've, I guess, had a comment from you. Both times you've jumped on to tell me what you thought I should do better. But I will take your criticism and I appreciate it. But it would be nice, if you drop through and just said hello and say, hey, I'm here, just so we know and not just jump in when you have something to point out that someone else can improve on. I'm happy with criticism. I'll take it. Not a problem. But I just wish I knew you were in the room. But it's good to have you. I'm glad that you're here. And also, looks like some of the other traders are aware of your teachings, and so you are respected in the community. But felt like it'd be nice if I knew that you were in the room. Nope. I do not have a course. I don't have anything. Nope. The $49, that's Topstep. So if you want to trade a funded account through Topstep, that's what that is. But no, I don't have a course. I don't teach anything. Nope. I don't have any of those things. I am not a mentor. I'm just a trader who has a live feed. I wouldn't say I'm a guru. Oh yeah, you saw that? Yeah, one tick. That was And I thought that one tick that I missed, I thought that's exactly where I placed my trade. So sometimes what happens, since there's only 4 ticks for each point, depending on how you stretch the screen, right? One area that I click on could be in between two ticks, and it'll select one. And so maybe that's what happened this morning. But yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough pill to swallow. But it was good to see it actually move and do something where I could have had a potential for a profitable trade. I know it didn't like run away for 50 points or anything, but it would have been nice to have been in the trade and had the opportunity to profit. But it's all good. We still had a good day so far. I feel like I've been seeing the market pretty well. Things just haven't worked out for me. But like we say, the key is to live another day, and we are doing that. And every time you survive another day, you have an opportunity for another trade. Oh, this here, what is it called? I don't know if it necessarily has a name per se, but it's essentially, I mean, it's a silver bullet trade by ICT, which at least in this one, where you're looking for a fair value gap between 2 and 3 o'clock. And so that's what I was looking for. I like to enter on the fair value gap. And the reason why I took this trade, because you can see the impulse move the first time it was at this level. You can see the impulse move the second time it was at the level. And actually, this is when I was trying to take the trade in this area. And it just retraced back down one more time, which then put me in, even though I had taken a market execution, which I hate doing. Absolutely hate doing it. But that's what happened. I ended up taking a market execution. Then it retraced back into the limit order that I had. So then I had 2 orders. But yeah, if you search the ICT silver bullet on YouTube, you'll find a bunch of people who have put out videos for that, or you find ICT himself. The trade I was looking for earlier today was just a breaker block setup. Hey, it's 3:15 now. So at 3:15, we want to see where price decides to run to. It's going to get ready for its last move of the day. In a lot of cases, that's towards the midnight open. If we haven't reached there yet, I believe we have. Yep, absolutely. Right around 82.50. So we've been around the midnight open all afternoon. So that's not where price is going to run to. But we'll see in just a few minutes. It'll give us an indication. Oh, thanks, John, man. Glad to have you in the room. It's good. Yeah, I've been trading for quite some time. I'm not nearly as consistent as I would like to be, but um, things are working. I'm not gonna lie, and I've committed myself to continuing to get better, and hopefully, you guys see that or will see that, and we can do it all together. So everyone in the room contributes a little bit, and we all learn. Hey, so it's getting close actually to where I would have exited my trade. I wanted to get out, I think, at around 97, and it was right around this midpoint of this fair value gap. So it's right there. If I didn't move my stop loss, it looks like I would have still been in the trade and would have made it. So it's not the first time that's happened to me. In fact, it's not the first time in the last couple days. Probably what, the third time this happened in the last 2 days. But hmm. For everyone who's liked the video, thank you so much for your support. I do know YouTube uses that to push out our video to others. So thank you very much for letting them know that you're enjoying the content. Hopefully, we can get a few more traders in for the last half hour, the last 45 minutes, that is. But yeah, thank you everyone who's supported the channel so far. Okay, looks like we got a little channel here forming. Taking the stairs up. Just wondering if there's going to be an elevator move down. All right, let's go ahead and stretch out these fair value gaps just in case. Hey, Virgo. Okay, not yet. Price doesn't want to show its hand, but it's sitting right at this new day opening gap. So that means the daily candle doesn't have a body on it. And let me check and see if the wick is equal size above and below. All right, the wick is 35 points down and 37 points up. Crazy. So doji, if I've ever seen one. All right, if we can break this level up to 0.95, then yeah, we'll probably shouldn't see much resistance up to 0.97, which is where I would have ended my trade. Did anyone else take a long from down here when I was entering the long? Because hopefully you didn't move your stop loss and you're still in. I mean, I got stopped out by a couple ticks. It wasn't even that much. Okay, now we see a breakdown below that new day opening gap. We have relative equal lows here that may attract price. Okay, Dustin, good job. Way to get in there and grab a piece of the pie. Oh, okay. All right, no worries. No worries, Christian. Just just sit back and keep monitoring price action. And as you find a new setup, then make sure it fits your criteria and then enter from there. But not every trade's going to be a winner. In fact, even if you get everything right, you're still only going to be right 60 or 70% of the time. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sure. If the market was moving and it wasn't doing this back and forth kind of thing that it does these last couple of weeks, I would have no problem sticking to it and waiting for profit. But as long as it's going to keep coming back to origin, there's no need for me to not move my stop loss. Granted, there were 3 trades in the last 2 days that would have been winners for me that would break even because of it. But I've also had it where it came all the way back and then not only stopped me out, but stopped me out in drawdown from the original entry. So I'm not upset with the break even. A break even means especially if after it stops me out, it goes to profit. That means that at least I was seeing price the right way. And then all I need is another opportunity. It was a buy. I went long. But if you're asking about the Christian, I think he said he went short. Oh wow, look at this. Trade down through both fair value gaps, but close heavily above. Yeah, you have to be careful in the afternoons. There's lots of stop hunts where the market doesn't want those who are already in the trade to carry on to the end. And so it'll have big retracements, stop people out, and then resume. In this case, let me remove this. So in our case, the new day opening gap is right here. So this is the opening price yesterday at 1600. So we can see how price is just kind of teeter-tottering around this area. So all the progress made today has been erased. Right? You can see this line all the way through. Back to right here yesterday, 1800. Price started up, down, up, down, up, down. So it's just done this all day, or for the last 24 hours. We'll see where it closes, whether it wants to close above or below or right at it. We'll know that within the hour. Yeah, I guess if you have if you have a funded account, you should be able to trade until around 10 minutes after 4. So you have another 40 minutes. If you don't have a funded account and you have your own broker, you should be able to trade until 5 o'clock. And if you're on a paper trading account, you can absolutely trade. Yeah. Today was better than yesterday. But either way, it's been good. Dustin, I'm having a good time, and I've been seeing the markets the way I like to see them. And certain trades just haven't worked out for me, but still got a smile on my face. I'm good. Okay. Where did I see my TP? Okay, so my TP originally was here, right around this 50% mark. This was where my original TP was. Because I remember looking here at this price structure, and I remember anchoring it right here on this. Okay, so maybe it was a couple 1 point higher, so it was around here, anchoring on these candle bodies right here. But it also has to do with where you enter. So when I look at it and I'm looking at where I want to enter and then where my stop loss needs to be, I make sure that my TP is at least 1 to 2. Okay. All right. Breaker plus the fair value gap on the 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, if you want to enter on the breaker, I guess you could have done this here. So somewhere in this area, you would have been shorting from 83 up until 85-ish. Okay, I'll pull this back over. Let's see if we get a closure above this fair value gap first. All right, let's delete that then. Okay. We're at the upper end of that breaker. Let's see if price pushes through. All right, it's pushed through to the other side. Let's see where it closes. Got another 30 seconds. All right, up first would be these equal highs. So we got 2 equal highs here and then a slightly higher high. So go ahead and get all of these at once. All right, there it is. So those equal highs are gone. Up next, it's going to be the 50% mark of this Fair value gap right here at 17,097. Oh, that's right. That's why I had it at 097, because my entry was at 077, so it was a 20-point take profit. That's what that was. All right, let's see if it can keep pushing and then whether it gets through. Something tells me that when it gets through, it might actually just break it and run up to the edge here at 104. And we got about another 15 seconds or so till this candle closes. Still looking for a push of another 2 points, maybe. Okay, another point and a quarter, actually. Hey, traded back down to the opening price of the day at 17,090 again. Yeah, we'll see if this is enough to get it up, get it over the hump and up to that target I have marked out at 17,098 and a quarter. Right, but coming up on the end of this candle, see where it closes, and we have about 20 minutes before the end of the hour. So whatever price is going to do, hopefully it does it in the next 20 minutes. Let's see if it can get that final push over the hump. Oh, I tried to see if I can get the trading gods to push it over. Didn't work. Yeah, you could be right. You absolutely could be right, Adam. Because as we look at, like I said, this is where the price started today, and look at where we are. We're a tick or two right on where price started, and so, oh wow, okay, that was fierce. No problem, John. No problem. I will be here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Absolutely. I'm enjoying this. I'm having a good time. So I hope to talk to you then. Take care. Let's move this out of the way since we all know where yesterday began. All right, MS. Thank you. Thank you very much. For anyone else who is on the way out, please hit the like button on your way out. Just so YouTube knows that we had a good session today. And also, if you're not subscribed, please do so. Please do so so you can get the invitations for future sessions. All right, looks like we've made a pretty sizable retracement back to 330 levels. I do my can. I do what I can. I try my best, but thanks, Mr. Q Mason. Thank you very much for subbing. Thank you. Appreciate you a lot. It's like without the subscribers and people coming back continuously and the chats that we're having now, this wouldn't be nearly as enjoyable. Awesome, MS. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right, we got another 15 minutes. Let's see how everything shuts down and closes out for the day. I thought we would have reached a little bit higher, but it did get up to the 50% point of that fair value gap. Only time will tell if that's truly where price wants to finish off its day. But either way, I think we had a pretty good session. There was some opportunities to trade, unlike some other days where it just ranges and never gives you an opportunity. At least today we had an opportunity, several opportunities to trade, both longs and shorts. The blocker. Okay. Yeah, we'll figure out something. You guys, keep thinking about it and throw out some suggestions tomorrow or in the future, and we'll figure out something where we can come up with a nickname for me. Yeah, you're right. It could be. It could be the smallest range. I'm not giving up on a run up these last few minutes. I've seen it happen several times where the last 10 minutes of the hour, get a big run. And from where we're sitting now, we need about 20 points. If we close below this fair value gap, then I'll give up on optimism that we may still see a run up to higher prices. If this fair value gap holds, then I'm cross my fingers and continue paying attention. Yep, it's coming up in 2 minutes. Should have taken that trade. Whoa. All right. So anyone with a tight stop loss is out. And now we can run up to the levels that are marked off. Let's see. And it did it right at 350. Seven, 769, so 16, 17. It's around 94-ish. Neat. Look at that. All right. So for everyone who's been around for a long time, or at least several years, and been watching the market, you've seen this happen many times before, where the last few minutes it'll still make a run up to a predetermined target or some level that's been, I guess, has had trouble reaching all day or all afternoon. This can it happens often where the last few minutes, last 15 minutes or so, you'll see an explosion in price. But yeah, for all the new people, this may look like a one-off, but it's not. This occurs relatively often. I'd say at least a couple times a week, where you get big movement between 3:45 and 4 o'clock. And not that what we've seen so far is a big movement, but we did see a reluctancy to move and make higher prices, and we saw a breakdown in price back down to these same levels that it was at before. Um, and then we saw a nice big push out of this area for 20 points all over 2 candles. And we've seen, if you look at where the low, whenever there's a retracement, the low, you'll see the wick dip down. And what it did is it was making sure anyone who had a stop loss behind any of these areas made sure they were taken out. The bodies of the candles are still up above the fair value gap, but the wicks dip well below to make sure anyone who was trailing their stop was taken out of the trade, except for this one at the very bottom. If you kept your stop loss at the very bottom of the move, then you're still in the trade. We saw the same thing over here. This price was retracing, and then it started to show that it was leaving. It was waiting for people to take their stops from here and to move them here. And as soon as they saw price moving, people were moving stops. And so then the next candle whipped down in 1 second, took all these out, then carried on. Right. And so let me just show you whenever I take a entry from a fair value gap. I've shown this before, but for anyone who's just now joining, I just want to make sure that everyone understands where I place my stop for fair value gap entries. Great. Now we're looking for a 1 to 2. So essentially, that's where the take profit would have been. And that's roughly 15 points. Right, let's remove that now. Come on, almost there. Keep going. There we go. Finally, at 355. Oh, Mr. Q-Mace, I'm just now seeing your question. Do you trade after hours? Not often. Occasionally I'll trade during the Asia session, or if I can't sleep, I'll wake up early and jump on the London session for an hour or so. But for the most part, it's only the New York session, AM and PM. But I'm not opposed to trading after hours if there's enough people that want to jump on an Asia session. I'm not opposed to doing that. Not sure the hours would line up for a lot of global participants, but American participants, it might be a little easier to do like a 9 p.m. session or something. Akina, are you still in the room, Akina? Did you take that long? All right, so we're getting close to the end here. We got about another minute and a half or so. So I want to field any lasting questions. Anyone have anything else they want to say before we end the session today? All righty. So the market's not done yet. We look like we're done, but the market's not done. Yeah, happy holidays to you also, Adam. Hope everyone had a good holiday this past weekend, and then we have the new year coming up. How do I get my bias? Brother Free, let me quickly do that. I'm assuming you're talking about a daily bias. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that 4 o'clock present for anyone who was still in. It looked like it. No, but that's what I'm telling you. At 4 o'clock, these kind of things happen. Once everyone's given up on the market and closed their laptops and ended their trades and they walked away, then these kind of things happen. And it's still going. Still going, still going. All right. So I'm assuming most people have ended their trade. So this is what I'm going to do. Let me walk him through how I do this on my bias. And granted, some people may do it theirs differently, but this is how I do mine. So I start on a weekly, right? And you're just looking for the trend, right? If we look at the weekly, we're here for Nasdaq, we can see that we've been bullish for, I don't know, the last 8 weeks in a row. So we're going to be bullish until price tells us differently. And it's based on market structure, really. So we've been bullish pretty much all year. We went all the way up until I believe this is around July. Yep, July. And then we retraced until November. And then we returned bullish. So until we were done with our retracement as we were going down and you're looking at market structure, I would have been looking at lows and highs. Because as it's making new lows, then the most recent high becomes a key level for me, which you can see the swing high here. And the swing, for anyone who doesn't know, is when you have a high and then a lower high on the left and a lower high on the right. So the highest point is in the middle, and the right and left are a little lower. So it creates sort of an apex. So this high, it was a key high for me as price is retracing, because if price was to return bullish, once it overtook this high, then I'm bullish again, which it did here the week of November 6th, right? So from there, every day until something changes, I'm bullish. So let's go into the daily chart. So if I'm bullish for the week, then every day I'm looking for price to eclipse yesterday's high. And then the next day, I'm looking forward to eclipse the previous day high and to continue to just make higher highs. Now, that won't always happen because there are retracements. And when you see a retracement happen, like, for instance, this candle here, you would expect for the next candle to eclipse this high, to continue the trend essentially, right? Unless price shows you something different. But as far as having a bias, that's where that comes from. It's a combination of this and then also the dollar. Right. So when you look at the dollar for the last 8 weeks, we just saw Nasdaq has been buying for the last 8 weeks. And we can see around the same time, November, when Nasdaq started buying, the dollar put in its high and started selling. So you want those two to move in the opposite direction. So when I'm seeing the dollar sell every week and I'm seeing the commodities buy every week, that's how I form my bias. And every day I'm just looking for that bias to continue. Even if it doesn't, that's what I'm looking for. And then I let price tell me that it's going to do something different. That's the high level, easy way to form a bias. Or at least that's how I do it. Now, if you're talking about a bias within a session or a bias within an hour time frame, those are a little different. But for the most part, it's going to be based on seeing what the dollar is doing. That's why I continue to refer back and let everybody know if the dollar is buying or selling, because we do want to move opposite of the dollar. And we also want to move with market structure. So you want to know where your highs and lows are. Like, for instance, here was a high. When we were selling, we were looking for new lows until it started buying and it took out this high. When it took out that high, then you started expecting the dollar to buy. And honestly, on this weekly chart, we haven't really seen price. We haven't seen market structure broken. I mean, overall, it's still bearish, but this price leg here could easily pick up and start buying. But adding this together with the indices, putting those two together, helps me form my bias. Rinko or tick charts? No, I haven't. I've never tried with the Rinko or tick charts. The free tomorrow asks, how do you create your market bias? Okay. Yeah, sure, brother free. Yeah, let's talk about it tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Speaking of highs, we just put in a new high of the day. Absolutely. We sure did. I saw price was running and it didn't look like it was slowing down at all. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So pretty much all day long, it played around the opening where I kept referring to as a new day opening gap, new day opening gap, new day opening gap. And it played around at that level all day long. And at 3:55, it decided it wanted to finally move away from that level. And that's where we are. So it was good. That was a good session today. Look forward to another one tomorrow. Hopefully things will be a bit more fluid and we'll get more, I guess, energetic action. But for anyone who's joining the AM session, I'll see you at 10 tomorrow, and the PM session, 1 p.m. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Take care. Mr. Q Mason. Oh, I'm in Arizona. That's where I'm at. So right now we're in Mountain Time. We don't change time. So half of the year we're in Pacific Time, and the other half of the year we're in Mountain Time. All right, Mr. Q Mason. Hope to see you tomorrow. 10 a.m. in the morning, 1 p.m. for the afternoon session.